African and Asian cuisine sells fast at the New Lynn Ethnic Night Market, a community initiative created by former refugees helping new refugee women to resettle in New Zealand. Some of these women are survivors of war-afflicted areas in Africa. Although not part of the community initiative, one New Zealand woman who understands what it means to be a child refugee came from the Republic of Burundi, a tiny nation nestled between Rwanda, Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, when I was growing up, it was such a beautiful country, green, very much similar to New Zealand, with small hills and with some nature. Although it's very much landlocked, it has natural lakes and rivers, so it has this fresh air, very similar to New Zealand. Very beautiful. Unfortunately, it has experienced civil war since the 60s.
Doris Nyonsaba is now 33, a successful accountant based in Auckland. She remembers Burundi as a beautiful, lush country. Her father was a doctor aide and her mother a nurse. With educated and middle-class parents, Doris and her 3 siblings had a happy childhood. That is until October the 21st, 1993, when their democratically elected president was assassinated by Tutsi soldiers.
Rwandan security forces are reported to have kidnapped and murdered the country's prime minister.
What to do about the 2,500-strong observer force, UNAMIR, in Rwanda is a central question for the Security Council.
Civil war has affected Rwanda and Burundi since the 1960s. With Burundi's independence in 1962, there were 2 genocides. Around 250,000 people died from the combined conflicts, the 1972 mass killings of Hutus by the Tutsi-dominated army and the 1993 mass killings of Tutsis by the Hutu majority. Some 300,000 people, mostly civilians, were killed in the following years.
I was born in a small town called Mukenke in the north of Burundi. 1982, but I left a long time ago now. 1993, when the war broke up, ended up in a refugee camp in Tanzania, and subsequently was resettled here in New Zealand.
At the time of the assassination, Doris was 13. She and her older sister attended a boarding school. They fled as a small group of girls, all students from the college, and they were separated from their parents and 2 other siblings for over 3 years.
At that time, it was chaos. It was massive killing all around the country, conflict between the Hutus and Tutsis.
Yes, you were only about 13 years of age, weren't you?
That's right, so it was very young. But as a younger person, I just followed the others where they were going. So we found ourselves at the nearest border with Tanzania. We crossed Tanzania. They arrived there and stayed there.
When you say we, who do you mean?
So myself with my sister, my older sister, we were in the same school, so we left together along with other classmates and friends from school. So we left it together and basically ran for our lives to Tanzania.
So there must have been a group of
probably about 12. When we left school in the very hours of the morning, I remember vividly that experience. It was somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, and we basically ran for our lives, and a group of us took the direction to Tanzania, and the other group went towards Rwanda. So we went towards Tanzania.
And do you think that it was actually really lucky that you did go towards Tanzania? Because I think many people didn't survive when they went into Rwanda.
Yes, that's right. We were fortunate to go towards Tanzania. Those who went to Rwanda, in the end, had to leave again in 1994. So the whole area was quite dangerous. We were aware of the political parties active at the time.
Yes.
And the divide between the ethnic groups. And being in a high school, we knew that what is going on. However, on the 21st of October, when the president was assassinated, we didn't know that had happened. Actually, the days before that, the president had been around the country After the election, basically everybody was happy. The country was suddenly being experiencing democracy.
Yes.
It was promising a lot of change. And so it was a sort of a celebration moment leading to that date. And when that happened on the 21st of October, as a young child, I didn't know. So I got told by my sister the next morning that the president has been captured. We didn't know he had been killed yet. And that news also came for a radio out, not a Burundi radio, a Rwandan radio. Some students much older had radios, so they heard about it.
Right.
So they started telling some people, so we ended up knowing.
Right,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even on the Burundi stations.
No.
When you fled, what about your parents? Where were you, the rest of your family?
My parents were at home, and I was in a boarding school, so I didn't go back home. And my parents also left home and took a different direction. So, when the war broke up, we saw the military everywhere. It was, we thought it was difficult to go home. It was going to be dangerous to go home, and we didn't know whether anybody's still home, actually.
Yes.
So what was in our mind was just
to get out.
I think, and that's why the group decided that we leave the school, because as a boarding school, we thought we were protected, but suddenly there was a military everywhere surrounding the
Emergencies
school.
everywhere, yep.
We didn't know whether they had good intentions or not. The students themselves within the school were divided into groups because of ethnic divisions
Between
Hutus and Tutsis. And we heard from radio also in a different boarding schools, students killed each other. And so we decided we can't sit and just wait for this to come. We need to leave.
So it came down to students even killing each other within schools.
It happened into some schools, and the military also came involved in gunshots into schools, and we thought,
That's it, we're out of here.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also around the schools, we could see people trying to get to the nearest hospital because they are injured. We can see blood flows everywhere. We could hear gunshots everywhere in the village. So we thought, we have to go.
You have to run for your lives.
Yes. We walked and run all day. At some point, we would cross some villages, and we'll see people in the villages and say, "Oh, be careful," and we talk to them and we keep going. We knew the general direction where we're going, because it's about, it's normally about a 6-hour drive, but we walked very much running. So it took us all day. By the time we arrived at the border, it was nearly dark. And we arrived somewhere. I remember there was a flag. It must be somewhere from the local authorities. Somebody from the local authorities spotted us, and they took us into a hole somewhere. And at that time, there was still influx of refugees arriving in Tanzania, and there was no camp established. I remember we just slept in the hole somewhere.
On the ground.
On the ground. They gave us some food, and we spent the night there. And the following day, we were taken to a camp where there were a lot of refugees.
It took 3 years before your mother was able. Your parent, was that both of your parents able to join you 3 years
Yes.
later? Fantastic. So that would have been 2001.
2001, and subsequently my little sister joined us as well, from Cameroon. She ended up in Cameroon, and she joined us in 2002.
How old was she when she was separated? What was her age?
Oh, she would have been about 8.
8 years
She was
old.
very
It would
young.
have been
yeah.
terrifying for her.
We've been very fortunate that we haven't suffered a loss through that chaos.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's incredible, really, because considering that the genocide that was happening, all sides, it's incredible, really, that all 4 of your siblings and your family survived.
Yes, it was a miracle.